I've been praying and thinking and planning more about how I, as the director of Connect Groups here at First Press, can help us fulfill these two co-greats in our Connect Groups. I think we do a fairly good job of loving one another in our small groups at First Press, although we can always improve. I do think that we do a pretty good job at that. I'm not convinced, however, that we are that great at making other disciples. Now, some of us may be doing that. Some groups may be better at this than others. But in general, I think that that's something that we can really improve upon. Though we're a pretty friendly church, I think it's really easy for us to remain in our comfortable places and stay in our existing relationships. It can be really scary to invite new people into our groups, into our circles of friends, and inevitably into our own vulnerability. We tend to like things the way they are. I know I do oftentimes. But in order for us to be loving disciple makers, we must have a bigger vision for ourselves and our small groups. There are many in the pews at First Press who don't have a community to help them know Christ. They are unconnected. They're alone in their spiritual journey, and they're missing out on the encouragement, the love, the accountability that community can give to them. They need a place where they can grow as loving disciples who make other disciples. Dr. Belazikian, he's the author of Community 101, puts it this way. It is in small groups that people can get close enough to know each other, to care and to share, to challenge and support, to confide and confess, to forgive and be forgiven, to laugh and weep together, to be accountable to each other, to watch over each other and grow together. Personal growth does not happen in isolation. It is the result of interactive relationships. Small groups are God's gift to foster changes in character and spiritual growth. It's all about relationships. And hopefully we are experiencing that ourselves, and that is what we want to see for others as well, even those outside of the church. If we don't go into all of the world, our friends, our neighbors, our coworkers will never find their way back to Jesus. Our small groups should be places that empower us to go and be loving disciple makers. And we can't wait. Our society, our nation, our world needs us to make more disciples who make more disciples. So I have a sheet that I made up for all of you to look at. And all of my planning and praying and dreaming about what small groups could be here at First Press, I've come up with some great expectations for our Connect groups to keep us moving toward becoming loving disciple makers. Now, let me be clear, this is not a system or another program. Systems do not make disciple makers. People do. You do. So again, this is not intended to be a system or a program. They're just guidelines and expectations that I wanted to put before you guys to think about and to pray about and to engage in simple ways for our groups to take part in that relational process of becoming and creating loving disciple makers. So, small group leaders, go ahead and pass out those great expectation sheets, and we'll look at those together one by one.